Okay, this is the Foundations Unit 7 Study Guide, Objective 4. This is the Calculator Inactive section, so if you're doing this, go ahead and put away your calculator. Okay, so this is going to explore the basic structure of the parabola and anything else that's needed to be done using parabolas. We had this question actually on the previous test, and we've just modified the graph itself. Okay, so first, identify which direction the parabola opens. Well, does it make a U up or does it make a U down? That's basically the question this is asking. And this is definitely a U down. Okay? And by knowing that, then you can answer another one of these questions. Does it have a minimum or a maximum? Well, does it have a top or a bottom? This definitely has a top. Okay? So this is a maximum. Okay? The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So my y-intercept, if you look, this is the y-axis right here. This is the x-axis. It touches the y-axis right here. This is our y-intercept. Okay? And if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down. So our y-intercept is going to be the -8. Okay, now some people would say it's written as 0, -8, but as long as you give us -8, I'm excited. -8 is fine with me. The next thing is going to be the line of symmetry, okay, or the axis of symmetry. This runs through the vertex. Well, the vertex is this point right here, and it's going to run right through the dead center of that. Okay? And so the axis of symmetry is going to be right here, where it's the same on one side as it is on the other. Okay? So this is our axis of symmetry. Okay? Its equation, it's a vertical line. All vertical lines have the equation x equals. Okay? And x equals what? Well, that's -1, -2, -3. So it's x equals -3. Okay? What is the vertex? Well, the vertex is this dot right there. Okay? This is the vertex. And the vertex will have a coordinate because it's a point. It's the turning point of our graph. Okay? And this is the coordinate of the x value, -3, because the axis of symmetry runs through the vertex. So x is -3. And now we need to know what the y value is. So how far up or down is it? And it's up 1. And so that becomes our vertex. Now the great thing is our minimum or maximum value, which is, like we said, a maximum value, is the y value of the vertex. So it would be 1 right here also. Okay? So this -3 and this -3 are the same number, and this 1 right here and this one down here are the same number. Okay? So now our x-intercepts, our roots, our solutions, our zeros are where it touches the x-axis. So this and this are our x-intercepts, the roots, the solution, the zeros. This also would be the ground, the water, anything of that sort. Okay? And if you look, that's at -2 and -4. And we're going to use the curly brackets to indicate that those are the solutions. Not parentheses, because parentheses indicates a point, and while these are points, -4 and -2 is not the point that we would be going to. This is the solution of -4 and the solution of -2. And so I believe we've answered every facet of this question. Time to move on. LeBron James shoots a jump shot that can be modeled by the function given here. How many seconds does it take for it to hit the ground? The notes here tell you to set it equal to 0 and then solve. Okay? Well, this is true, and we've been doing this the whole test. How do you solve? Well, you could factor, you could graph, or you could do the quadratic formula. Now, this is going to be the calculator inactive section, so you're going to need to be able to do this without using a calculator. I will show you all of these without using the calculator, and you can determine which one's the best one. Graphing is not going to be your option, though. You're not going to want to graph it without a calculator. The only reason you would graph it at all is because you have the calculator and it makes it easier to do. Okay? So we're going to eliminate graphing from the possibilities of us answering it that way, and we're either going to factor it or use the quadratic formula. Okay? So when you factor it, you want to take the negative 5t squared plus 5t plus 10, and you want to take out a GCF. And remember, you want to try to make this a positive if you can, and 5, 5, and 10 all have a 5 in common, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 5. Okay, and remember, you want to set equal to 0. Okay? This gives us a t squared. This gives us a negative 1t, or t. And this gives us a negative 2 equals 0. Okay? And then I'm going to do an x. I need something that gives me 1 times negative 2, which is negative 2. And then I need a negative 1 on the bottom, and then you get a 2 and a 1 are the only things that will multiply to give you a 2, and then to get a negative 1, you need a negative 2 plus 1, which is negative 1, and negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. So then you get t minus 2, and t plus 1 equals 0. Okay? And then you get t equals 2, and t equals negative 1. Remember, we're talking about a real-life situation, so he couldn't have shot the ball and then it landed on the ground negative 1 seconds ago, but it could have landed on the ground 2 seconds after he shot it. And so the correct answer for this one would be 2 seconds. And in real life, that makes sense. Shoot a ball 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, it hits the ground. Okay? So that could be realistic. Question number 15. What is /r the negative zeros? And actually, let's go back. I forgot to show you how to do it using the quadratic formula. So it would be negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this is my a, this is my b, and this is my c. So I've got a negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 5 squared minus 4 times negative 5 times 10 all over 2 times negative 5. Okay, so I get negative 5 plus or minus the square root of, that's 25. That gives me 20 times 10, which is 200. 25 plus 200 is 225 over 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. Okay, now 225 is a number I've told you to memorize as a perfect square, and that is 15. Okay, and so, so square root of 225 is 15. Okay, all over negative 10. So then you get negative 5 plus 15 over negative 10, or negative 5 minus 15 over negative 10. Okay? And so then that gives you 10 over negative 10, which equals negative 1, or you get negative 20 over negative 10, which is 2. And so just like we did before, we got negative 1 or 2, and 2 has to be the answer because it's positive time and you can't have something happen before it happened. So the answer is 2 seconds. Okay, so now it says, what is /r, because there could be more than one, negative zeros. Okay, so we only need to know the answer to the negative zeros one. Okay, so you can set it equal and solve. So that means you could factor or the quad formula. Okay, either way. Now, since this does not have a number in front, it's going to be really easy to factor, and you should know how to factor, and we expect you to know how to factor. So since I showed you the quadratic formula on the previous question, I'm not going to show it to you on this one. Okay? So we're going to factor. We're going to go ahead and just jump right into the x, because there is no greatest common factor. And you'll get negative 36 and negative 9. Okay, so I have 6 and 6. That doesn't work. I have 12 and 3. Oh, that could possibly give me it. 12 and 3. We need a negative 12 and then a positive 3, and that gives me negative 9. So then I take it, I get x minus 12 and x plus 3. And then remember, you got to set it equal to 0. And then so you get x equals 12 or negative 3. And so you can do it like this with no or. You just put a comma, whatever you want. But it says, what are the negative zeros? Which one of these is negative? Just this one. So negative 3 is the answer. Okay? And the last, but certainly not the least question, definitely the easiest question on the test. Okay? Gives you all this stuff, tells you this, okay? And it tells you that it's the height of t, blah, blah, blah. And it says, what is the height when it is launched? When it is launched is right at the very, very beginning, also known as the starting height. So you want to know what its initial height is. Well, starting height stands for the y-intercept. Well, remember, the y-intercept is the c value, the constant. Okay? Means there is no variable. Okay? Which one of these has no variable? Positive 85, answer 85. Okay? And it doesn't say whether it's feet, inches, yards, miles, meters, or anything. So you just tell me it's 85. Okay? And that concludes our test for Unit 7 Study Guide, or I guess our videos for Unit 7 Study Guide. Okay? Study hard, do well on the test. Thank you.